It's the enemy over there. They're not your friends. You don't go over there and shake hands, smile, hug their neck.
Let's go behind enemy lines. Let's eye up the enemy on the Mason Crosby Show with Mitch Thunder Nellis on 1250 AM and 105.7 FM, The Fan.
So his microphone wasn't on yet, but I heard it because I have him in my headset. There was an ooh. Mason, you want to share the ooh with us?
Well, no, I just like that intro.
That's right.
Yeah.
Brand new.
Let's get it.
That was a Tommy
behind
and
enemy lines.
Tommy and McD special right there.
Heck yeah.
Yep. Behind it. This isn't working at all. Hold on.
Oh, Mitch is back.
There we go. Hey, everybody. Mitch Nellis here, a.k.a. Thunder. It's the Mason Crosby Show presented by Verizon, the official 5G network of the Green Bay Packers. And, you know, if I wasn't old, I'd know how to do things, but I'm old, so I don't know how to do anything. Joining us now on the Mason Crosby Show, it is Eye on the Enemy from 92.3 The Fan in Cleveland. Nick Wilson in the house. What up, Nick?
Gentlemen, how we doing?
Oh, yeah.
Doing great. Yeah, thanks for coming on, Nick. Thanks for joining the Mason Crosby Show. We are excited to have you. We're excited to talk about this game coming up. And my first question to you is just what can this Browns team do this week to kind of stop the Packers defense and that pass rush and find a way to score points, because that's been a little tough for them. But what should our fans and our listeners kind of be looking out for this Cleveland Browns team?
I'd be excited to talk about this game if I were you guys too. I would be very excited to talk about this game.
You're like, this seems like an ambush.
So it's funny. I do think when we get to the heart of the Browns' problems, we can talk about the Browns' lack of explosive plays. We can talk about the inconsistent run game. We can talk about the interceptions. We can talk about all this kind of stuff. The play up front, which hasn't been good. But the number one thing the Browns need to stop doing before they let the Packers stop beating them is they need to stop beating themselves. Mm-hmm. And week one, it was dumb turnovers, right? It was two tipped balls by receivers that went the other way. It was two missed kicks, right? Those are fluky things. Week two against Baltimore was way more self-inflicted. Ronnie Hickman missed a huge block on a punt that led to a punt being blocked, 7 points Baltimore. Joe Flacco had two really bad turnovers, including maybe one of the worst interceptions I've seen, which as a Browns fan, that's saying something, because I am the purveyor of dumb interceptions. I've seen them all. Every which way I've seen them, from every which damn quarterback. But they got to stop with the turnovers, right? Like and it's so funny because you can say that about any team in the NFL, but this team especially. This team does not have the kind of talent to make up for itself offensively. You need to play zero turnover ball. And then I do think the Browns defense has been great. I mean, really, really good. The scoring numbers don't necessarily tell how dominant this front has been, but it's turned into sacks, but it hasn't turned into fumbles or interceptions. So they need at least one turnover this weekend as well, because their margin for error for winning is less than just about anybody in the NFL.
Yeah. So my question to you though is why do the Browns just keep going and beating a dead horse in that regard? Why not just lean into the run game, go into this basic, we're going to run the ball. We're going to try to control the clock. If we go 3 and out, we're going to punt, try to change the field and rely on our defense. Stop doing the stuff that is causing you huge issues. Obviously you said a punt got blocked. So it's that's a problem, but that's not going to happen every week. So just lean into that. Why do you think this Browns, the mindset is not just let's do the simple thing. Let's just see if we can win a game running the football 30, 40 times. Let's just pound that rock and play great defense. Do you not think that's a recipe that they could lean into and have at least a little better success?
I think it's the recipe they've intended, but the circumstances have conspired about them not being able to do that. One, the only guy I think they really feel comfortable getting bell cow back type touches in between the tackles is Quinshon Judkins. Well, he missed week one because of the contract kerfuffle with the team. He looked reasonably well against Baltimore. That would be, I think he gives, if you can get him to 15 to 20 touches this week after 10 touches week one, I think that gives you a chance. I also think you're in this weird position where, and I've struggled with this with Joe Flacco, because I think I know where Kevin Stefanski's coming. Last year, this team was a turnover waiting to happen, whether it was Deshaun Watson, Jameis Winston, or DTR. So, hey, we went 3-14 because of turnovers. Let's stop the turnovers. But you happen to have, you guys might know this from watching Brett Favre. There are certain quarterbacks who, if you say, don't do the things that are within who you are, you turn them into a completely ineffective quarterback.
Yeah.
And so Joe Flacco's a no risky, no bisky kind of guy. He needs to be able to uncork throws down the field 1 to 2 times a quarter to give him that opportunity to make those explosive plays. And instead, what they've done is they've turned him into a check down Charlie. And the problem is that's causing turnovers, because you get halfway through the game, you're down 10-3 against the Ravens, and it might as well feel like 70-3. All of a sudden, he's thinking, run game ain't working. I'm not getting blocked for. I can't run for touchdowns like some QBs in this, and I'm struggling to get guys open. I'm going to throw them open. And so as much as I understand Kevin Stefanski's plan, and I do agree, ball control, keep away with some of these better offenses, lean on your defense. That's how this thing is built to go. But you've got a quarterback who I think by neutering, you're somehow getting the worst version of him without the upside. Like, I'll live with 2 interceptions a game if Joe throws for 4 touchdowns.
I like
right?
that. Yeah.
But you're not giving him those opportunities. And I think instead you're compounding your problem. So it's tough, because I agree this is how you have to win. This just isn't the quarterback to do that with, which makes me wonder whether they're just kind of keeping the offense building and pushing to a much quicker hook to Dylan Gabriel than I think people realize.
That's interesting. We got Nick Wilson on the Mason Crosby Show. You can check him out at 92.3 The Fan in Cleveland. We're eye on the enemy, talking about the Cleveland Browns versus Packers game this weekend. Yeah, I'm just thinking about that as well. And if Cleveland makes that field goal and beats the Bengals week 1, and then just, has, obviously these are woulda, coulda, shouldas, right? Like, they're 0-2 for a reason. There were mistakes. There were things that happened. But when you look at a defense that's been that dominant and has done the things that they've done so far through a couple games, like, are they truly as bad as the 0-2 start, shows? Obviously, the offensive inefficiency is apparent, and it's going to be hard for them to score points against the Packers. But if they fix that, can this team be something that could sneak up on somebody?
I have coined the term the most competitive 4-13 team in America, because that's what I think the Browns can be. They have enough talent to hang in these games. And I will, they're scoring about 16.5 points per game. They can score more than that. I don't know if it's 25 points a game, but I do think, I would be really surprised if the quarterback play was bottom 32, if the running game was bottom 32, if the O-line was bottom 32, and the wide receivers were bottom. That's a lot of bad with too much talent. Again, they don't have Jamar Chase and T. Higgins. They don't have Jordan Love. They don't have this great offensive liner, but they've got enough talent to be more competent. But I think the problem is, and I don't know how much, because you guys really have not had a lot of losing in your life. We're competitive and we're like a 500 team, which that's been the worst that Kevin's been here. 7-10 was their low water mark, 8-9, but you were still competitive. You still saw it. Last year was 3-14. And the big thing here is Kevin is not a leader of men. He's a brilliant football mind, a really good play caller, good dude. But there's a difference between, this is Dan Campbell. I'm going to lead you into the lion's den, and we're going to get you a win.
Yeah.
And the guy who you like and respect, but maybe don't bleed for. And Kevin's that other part. So you're coming out of quicksand of 3-14, and now all of a sudden you've lost 2. You don't have too many more losses before I think you render Kevin ineffectual as a head coach. And it's, I've said you're 2 losses away at any given point from the ass falling out of this thing. Excuse my language. You're 2 losses away from telling yourself, maybe we do have to see Dylan Gabriel. And so, I don't know that there's a team that needs a win more in the NFL right now than the Browns, because that quicksand is sinking and it's pulling them in. And as great as his defensive front is, you got a problem at nickel. You're still playing Greg Newsome on the outside, and Greg is hit or miss on the outside. The linebackers are still really young and can be exploited, especially if Tucker Kraft is healthy enough to play. Like, your defense isn't complete. It's really that front four is dominating. I think you guys are going to have fun watching it because you're also going to get the win here. But I do think like losing to this level, and I got a lot of experience watching it, becomes really insidious. And I really think if you don't get a win in the next 2 to 3 weeks, I don't think you can pull the nose up on it. And all of a sudden you run the risk of not being the most competitive 4-13 team. You just end up being a really crappy, hard to watch 2-15 team.
Yeah. Nick Wilson from Cleveland. He's on 92.3, The Fan there. You can check him out. You can find him at Nick Wilson Says on Twitter or X, whatever you like to call it. But, that's for me. Okay, yes, I played in Green Bay for a long time. Like, the culture was winning, right? The culture was just going out and like doing it the right way and winning a certain way, even sometimes. So how do you think the Browns shift that culture? You talk about head coach, and yes, everyone talks about Dan Campbell, that he was able to change a culture of losing for the Detroit Lions. Like, so what is that step for this Cleveland Browns organization? Because it's not just players, teams. Like, they've always had talent coming into that building. But what can they do to change a culture there and find a way to get this thing to have success at some point?
So I think it depends on how you view Stefanski and Barry. This draft class seems to be a great find for Andrew Barry, and he needed that because his previous draft classes without first round picks and second round picks was really rough, and they are staggering under the weight of the Deshaun Watson debacle. So if you believe Kevin Stefanski is the right guy, then you need what you actually had with Baker. I know that Baker, and if there's a Browns fan listening, like, this jerk is talking about Baker again. But I don't think Kevin.
I love Baker
Mayfield. I do too, and he kind of fit Cleveland in a way that I think was just perfect. But I think what Kevin misunderstood about Baker, because there was, we can talk about all the reasons that's no longer a thing. The number one reason is pretty basic, guys. Baker and Kevin couldn't vibe. Kevin is analytical. He's emotionless. He's the same guy from day to day. And Baker's an emotional roller coaster. And Kevin didn't know how to handle that. But what Kevin mistook and maybe didn't understand was Baker was what Kevin wasn't. And Kevin was what Baker wasn't. So if you're going to have I'm a good guy, people like me, people trust me, but maybe they don't bleed for me. You've got to have a quarterback that people bleed for. And so, no offense to Deshaun Watson, Deshaun was a definitely changed man when he came to that locker room. He was. He was not the guy he was in Houston. And there were obvious reasons for that. And so he didn't embrace that locker room and give them what they needed. That's why for those 5 games that Joe Flacco lit the world up in 2023, you had a dude who is that guy who it's no BS. Right? It's not the leader of men trope. It's a guy that walks into a room, everybody likes and respects. He knows how to get people's attention and love and understanding. And here's where we're on task. And now that was a flash in the pan. That was a reaction to, hey, all those other guys were schmoes. It's harder to do that at the beginning of the season. And so I just think if Kevin's going to be your coach, then you need to find that quarterback that you can rally around, whether it's a franchise quarterback or a really good quarterback like a Jared Goff, doesn't really damn matter. You need to have a quarterback that they believe in, that you can build around over years. And then even if you do that, you still might need to kind of replace Kevin Stefanski, because at some point you need to have enough wins in a short amount of time for that locker room to buy into you. And I think that's where the catch-22 is. I don't know if you're going to have enough runway if you're Kevin Stefanski, and then all of a sudden the equation changes, and now what you need a quarterback might be different.
No doubt. And obviously they have that on the defensive side of the ball with the Myles Garrett and the guys on that front four that just are leading the way there. And those are leaders of men. They are the guys, right? So that's why the defense is doing so well, is because they're following suit there. I want to ask you a question on the other side. As you've watched the Packers these first couple weeks, Just kind of obviously everyone knows the Mike Parsons trade, all, everything that's gone on there. Like, what do you see from this Packers team that excites you but worries you, for this matchup against the Browns?
I mean, I just look at a team that's just ready to win a championship. I really do think you guys, if you said right now, pick a team, as much as I respect the Baltimore team that just steamrolled Cleveland, this feels like, and I compared it to Reggie White in 93. I was a huge Reggie White fan. That made me kind of a pseudo Packers fans for that era of Packers football because I just loved him. I thought, and by the way, Myles Garrett reminds me so much of Reggie on the field, of that ability of power and speed and how just impossible that is to block. But when they traded for Micah, the first words out of my mouth are, that's Reggie White. I mean, that's the kind of impact you put in honestly, at this point, underrated. He is underrated from the standpoint that he hasn't won a Defensive Player of the Year award yet. And because, there's Miles and there's TJ and there's this guy. It's like, you took 4 names to get to Micah Parsons. What the hell are you doing? Yeah. And so I think it's the perfect player at the right time. And, the truth is, I've been debating this all week. Do I try and stop Josh Jacobs or do I try and stop Jordan Love? Because I think you guys, I think would have more success naturally stopping Josh because Mason Graham has been a dog so far. Yeah. But, man, I got to be honest with you. Jordan's ability to just change the game with one throw scares the living crap out of me. So I really do I have the utmost respect for this team. I'm kind of pulling for y'all because it's been a minute since you've won the chip, and I really like this Green Bay team, which, again, so when you guys say, behind enemy lines, I'm like, I'm really kind of Switzerland here. I'm just a guy that knows what my season is, and I'm looking for other places to root for.
But you gave us great insight to what's going on there in Cleveland, which is, much appreciated. I think listeners want to just know, all right, what can we expect on Sunday? And that insight is awesome. Mitch, you got anything before you let Nick go?
Obviously, I'm going off script. Is there Guardians excitement? You're down to 1.5 games, one in the loss column against the Red Sox. Are you guys? Are people believing that the Guardians can make a run to the playoffs?
Well, let me tell you, Thunder, we get the win last night. All right, yesterday during the show, and I very rarely get to react to the games because I'm from 2 to 7. The games happen at night, so by the time we're always on to the next game, and there was a point where I was like, "Can I just get a cigarette, a smoke, and maybe a nap in here?" Because I was jubilant yesterday. It's so funny. With 10 games to go, you're like, well, 3.5 games back in the division, 1.5 games back in the wild card. That is an incredible amount of space to make up in 10 games. But if you they can go 8-2 and either steal the division or steal a wild card spot. It's just this rotation has zero margin for error because the offense, much like the Browns, is quite terrible.
Yep. All right. And then does any of this matter, or is everybody just waiting for the Cavs?
No, it matters. Now, or wait, are you talking about the Browns or the Guardians?
Both.
So the Guardians.
It's Cleveland sports fan just waiting for the Cavaliers to that they went through the growing pains last year. Now this is the year for the Cavaliers.
So there's a lot of excitement, but we're back to where we are with the Cavs 2 years ago, where it was, I'll see you in the playoffs. So honestly, the regular season for the Cavs is just going to be a big party unless we have a reason to panic. So that's always the caveat. But no, I think Guardians fans are all the way back on board here. And I do think there are people just curious, where do the Browns go for here? Can Stefanski do something that nobody thinks he can do, which is pull a relevant season out of his ass? And then I think people are just going to sleep on the regular season. As long as you win 50 to 55 games, wake me up when mid-April happens, and then we'll talk some Cavs and see if they can win a title.
Nice.
I love it.
There you go.
Yep. Appreciate it. We had this is Nick Wilson joining the Mason Crosby Show. You can catch him at 92.3 The Fan in Cleveland to talk all things dire Cleveland Browns. And it sounds like a little excitement about the Guardians, but really appreciate you jumping on, Nick, and giving us a little insight into what to expect this Sunday with this Cleveland Browns team.
Gentlemen, we appreciate you. Thank you so much. And beyond this Sunday, good luck this year. I think you guys got a real chance to do something fun.
Awesome. Thanks, Nick.
That's Nick Wilson joining us on the Fan Guest Hotline powered by Gruber Law. One call. That's all. I had to ask the baseball and basketball questions. Like,
Yeah, that came out of nowhere, but yeah, I mean, it
always,
was good. It was a good segue.
I'm literally always asking everyone from the other market about their baseball and basketball.
Yeah, well, I actually thought you were going to ask him a food question.
What's the best thing to eat in Cleveland?
Yeah, what's the best thing there at the Browns Stadium?
Dirt from the lake.
Dirt burger.
Yeah, dirt burger is the best thing to eat in Cleveland. Thanks again to Nick Wilson for jumping on. Lots more coming up on the Mason Crosby Show. A little business ethics and sports ethics and all those good things. And then, of course, looking ahead to the weekend, because I can see it on the horizon.
It's right there.
It's right
it's
there.
It's
Friday. Gotta get down on.
And they apparently now these student athletes can go to school for the rest of their life if they want. They just stay in college
Or never. Yeah.
Yeah, you don't even have to go to school.
Right.
Yeah.
You
can just stay there though.
Yeah.
You can stay in the program forever.
Can I move to Madison right now and just be an undergrad?
Just be there forever.
Yeah, let's go. This is the Mason Crosby Show presented by Verizon, the official 5G network of the Green Bay Packers. It's Thunder. It's Mason. Tommy's here too. Let's have a blast, everybody. Here comes the weekend on the Mason Crosby Show.
Yeah, buddy.